And greetings, everybody. I still hear myself.
We'll
Welcome.
sort it out after the show, eh?
Yeah, definitely. Hello, everybody. It is July 3rd. It is a beautiful Thursday. And as you can tell, I'm not in the studios today. There's a reason for that. I kind of injured my back over the weekend, which makes travel a little painful. So I'm actually doing the show from home. Hello.
Oh dear, dear.
Well, isn't that what you independent developers do? Don't you guys do all your work from home anyway? Your mom's basement, isn't that what they say?
As much as possible, but certainly not my mum's basement. Not these days.
Basements? People have those?
I guess in a wet country like the United Kingdom, it might be a little difficult to have basements. I never thought of that.
There's a few select places that have basements, but yeah, there's a few down the road, a few areas down the road that has loads of basements in them, but round us, no, none. I always wanted a basement.
3-floor house, but it's like it's over 3 floors, and the basement is basically my kitchen and my garden. But the front door is on the 2nd floor because we're on a hill. It's really weird.
I was looking at houses the other day, and I saw one like that, and it was like a little hobbit hole in the side of a hill. It was amazing. I saw it was beautiful as well. Lovely background. It's awesome.
Wow. So, welcome to the Datamine, where we're actually talking about game development and buying houses, apparently. This seems to be the way to go. Yes, so I am joined by Danny Goodall from Just a Pixel.
Hello.
And I am joined by Chris Spiky Sebak from the 19 Stone Ninjas.
Yo. You were doing
Check
this.
it, yo. Throwing up gang signs.
I was trying to be like Hang 10, because, that's sort of, I guess.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. But yes, we are here to talk literally about game development in a variety of mediums and a variety of spectrums. For example, next week we have a guest coming on who's going to be talking about art in game development, and we're trying to cover as many topics as we possibly can to help you guys who are the independent developers, as well as those interested in getting into game development, to realize that there's so much more to it than just one thing. So we're going to be talking about AI today, and I am going to be talking about it from I'm a gamer. I don't want stupid AI. It makes a game no fun. But I also don't want the AI to be too difficult, because then it makes it too challenging. And somehow you guys have to solve that problem.
Yeah, balance it all out.
I think it's easier to make a really hard AI than it is to make a really easy AI.
Really? Why do you say that?
Just because it's easy for a bot to instantly aimbot you, instantly shoot you in the face from miles away, because they kind of see a line of code and it tells them to shoot directly at you. But it's harder for them to program in their visibility range, and sort of it's easy to make it so they instant headshot you every time. It's harder to make them less intelligent.
And random probabilities calculations of whether or not a hit will actually actually hit an enemy. Yeah, where will it strike? Yeah, well, for one. And two, if it actually hits, the random calculations aren't just a case of using a random function within Unity or .NET or something like that. You sometimes have to do weighted probabilities and all kinds of stuff to actually make it realistic.
And then you have to open it up so designers can interact with it without having to write a line of code. That's the difficult bit as well. How do you make AI that's a designer can play with without having to write any code?
Yeah.
There's actually been a suggestion for this, and I'll take a moment and I will share the link in the chat with you guys in just a second. There was a talk given by Kevin Dill and Dave Mark at the 2012 GDC, which is the Game Developers Conference, all about the dark art of modeling, which I completely immersed myself in pre-show. So if I seem like I really know what I'm talking about, my hat goes off to those two. But they talked about how you can actually do a modular development for AI to have it be more of a ranking methodology instead of a just, if you can hit, then therefore you should kind of a thing, which is interesting. And they actually give the mathematical model, including weights and ranking. So what ends up happening is, have you guys ever played Dragon Age? Or any of the Dragon Age games?
Yeah.
Big fan of the series.
And you know how what you can do with the characters that you have joining your team is you can give them sort of a ranking. If enemy is attacking friend, do this and all this other stuff. You basically can kind of build a ranked AI step chart. If this is done, you do this. If this is done, you do this. And you technically control the AI of your party. Well, what he recommends is instead of having that kind of a list chart, what you end up with is a pie chart of choices. And the amount of space that it takes up on this pie chart is how much credence AI should follow. So, for example, the descriptions you were giving, like if one of my options is to throw myself on a grenade, why should that have more weight than anything else in the pie chart if there's no grenade on the ground? And you know, it's one of those, like, I don't need to protect my friend. There's nobody to protect, so it would make more sense to cover.
This is where you get really crazy bugs in AI where they're just constantly throwing themselves at grenades, even if they're midair. They're just
well, see, that's just
diving towards it. Yeah,
he says there's a way to avoid stupidity in artificial intelligence. So what I want to do before we go too far, and I'll put the link for the chat because it has slides and it's a talk. These two guys are brilliant minds in the AI world. If you are looking to get into AI, which is a whole subject matter into itself, you can go dig yourself into it. But what I want to ask you guys, you both are developing games. So what troubles, or did you, let me ask, how early did you start thinking about the AI? Let's start there.
Probably
you go first.
The first day I started making the game, I was writing AI just to try and get it so the guards would react the way I wanted them to. So I'd say very early in development. The game's no fun without enemies.
I have to totally agree there. I'm suffering at the moment of absolutely no AI, no enemies in my game at all, no human AI at least. Anyway, I've got lots of devices and props that have AI built into them, but it's different. They've got set patterns that you don't have to randomize things. You don't have to chase the player. You know, you have to look at the player. Maybe if you've got a camera or something like that, but that's about the limit of it. It's very limited. What I've been thinking about AI from the beginning because I have to have realistic human animations, realistic human thoughts. You know, for example, if one thing I'm doing at the moment is if a guard's on a path and it's a waypoint path and they've just they're set to go around up and down ping pong from one place to the other. What happens if I close a door in between that? What does the guard do? Does the guard just go around the door, find another route, which I could do easy enough, or does that guard go, hang on, why is this door closed? What do we do here?
Does the validate?
Yeah, and then the thing is with Subnet, the game I'm doing is the devices are the center of the game. So everything that you can do with devices, you can lock guards in elevators, you can close doors on guards, you can... well, these are the things that I need to program. I haven't actually done the guard part of it. I've got the devices working, but the guards... So I've actually only recently started looking at it in any depth, and I'm working on it as we speak, in fact. Bit longer than Danny's answer, sorry.
No, there's so many different ways of doing AI as well. I think the traditional method is sort of using finite state machines, which are states that can go to other states, and the states kind of tell the AI what to do. So if it's in a patrol state, it goes to point A to point B, and then switches to, say, an alert state, it plays an animation, plays a sound effect, and then it can only go... You have to code the transitions as well for each state. So if you have a load of different states, and you want them all to be able to transition to each other, you have to write individual transitions for every single state to each other. Yep. It gets overly complicated when you have hundreds of thousands of states. So, and you can easily get to that sort of work with lots and lots of states for different things.
What?
Well, before you go, I'm going to just quickly jump into the chat and welcome everybody who is shown up for today's show, and also say to the chocolate one, besides the fact that I absolutely love your name, everyone starts somewhere with game dev. A lot of the independent developers that we've had on the show decided to just pick up an engine and write. So that's one of the biggest pieces of advice we can give to anybody who's new into game development. Don't wait. Pick up something and play with it. So there's that. But also, if you guys have a comment or a question for us, please don't hesitate to just put a Q and a colon. We have the lovely Dr. Marshmallows, who is one of our normal hosts for another show that we do here at MMOBuff, collecting questions, and we'll try to grab them as we're going through. But just in case we miss them, it's always best to preface it with a Q and a colon, and then the Marsh will do what the Marsh does. Okay.
The Marsh does best.
The Marsh has a mighty massive ban hammer, but he also has a mighty massive pen, so he can write
The
all this
Marsh
stuff
hammer.
down. The Marsh hammer, absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I've forgotten. There was two things that were going to my head. But first of all, I was just going to respond to the chocolate one. The education thing, as you said, I don't know about Danny so much, but I've come in from this with plenty of programming experience, but no game dev experience, and it's been a learning curve to learn all the terminology. It's been a learning curve to learn all of the industry in general. It's very, very different from anything I've worked in before. It's interesting. It's very different in good and bad ways, but you get used to it. You get and the community, the indie community, is very, very supportive.
It's fantastic.
Very supportive.
One of the best communities I've ever been involved in, to be honest. It's fantastic.
100% agree there. There's a few overinflated opinions. I'm sure mine will be one of them. I'll be honest with you. But at the end of the day, you get it everywhere. But there is generally people help each other out.
Actually, that's why this show actually exists. This show, the Datamine, exists because Danny said, I want to do something for the independent developers. I want to add more support to the community that has given so much to me. And then Chris, he came on as a guest last week to start talking about character parkour in Unity and how you could get the characters to recognize where certain choices could be made and whether you should allow it to occur or what you need to do to fix the random problems that can come up if they end up in a wall instead of on the wall. And he actually loved the concept of helping the community so much. He's now officially one of our hosts for the show as well.
One of us.
Thank you.
One of us.
One of us. Yeah. No,
Yes.
I've always been very keen on sharing knowledge. When I was a bit younger, it wasn't so much. I'll be honest. When I was a bit younger, I wanted to keep it close to my chest. I think it's a confidence thing, though. As you get older and you get a little bit more sure of yourself, or sure of your position, or sure of what you can and can't do, you want. I don't know. I personally want to share more. I think
I think it's too difficult to find information. The weird thing is that the more online things become, the more complicated information gets to find. So, when I first started doing AI, I was finding it really hard to find an AI tutorial that was decent or procedural generation tutorials. I was searching for them a couple of weeks ago, and there was absolutely nothing out there that was any good. And then I stumbled across this one article, and I just had to share it with absolutely everyone that wanted. I just had to put it on my Twitter and just say, here's a tutorial I found, and it just so answered every question I ever had.
You know what this means now, Danny, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Every time we find something that is really, 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 really important or interesting that we think game developers need to know, we need to compile a compendium and put it on the site so that people can just see the extra links and stuff that we suggest.
There is actually a game dev website. I'm going to find it while I'm here.
He doesn't remember the game dev websites.
It has a list of a load of tutorials, market research, everything. It's huge. I think it's Pixel Prospector.
Great name.
But it's fantastic. They have it's called the Indie Goldmine.
Copy, paste.
Link in the chat. This one has basically every bit of information you could possibly need to know about every game that they've got on there.
I was on
a load of
today.
resources. Yeah, it's a load of resources about graphics, sound, business, marketing, everything. It's absolutely fantastic.
See? And you wouldn't have had that without the Shattermine, which is such a horrible plug on my part. Just not even going to try. Okay.
Bad plug.
So let me pull us back into artificial development. Now, like you said, Danny, and this is interesting to me because there's an article that I was just reading about artificial intelligence that discusses the difference between traditional AI development and, if I can get the proper terminology, game AI. Because there's, if you could program robots, that's one thing. But if you try to develop an AI for a game, that's a whole different thing. But you're also not trying to build Skynet, are you?
No, game AI is nothing really to do with traditional AI development. Maybe some things spread across, some algorithm, goes from being something at Stanford to something in a game. But I mean, the AI that game developers make is not going to be real world AI at any point.
No, it's
designed
got very
for a
distinct
closed environment. Yeah.
Yeah, very distinct boundaries essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas the real world really doesn't have that.
What are you trying to say? The real world has no boundaries at all?
Oh, well, compared to games where they have closed environments and systems, yeah, trust me, they are really easy to make game AI as opposed to real world AI.
Well, that's an interesting point, though, isn't it? How realistic are games in terms of AI? I mean, sorry, in terms of the environment, because one of the challenges with the parkour, for example, that I had, I know I'm not on AI there, but is I wanted to climb on everything, so I had to put a lot of code into it. So surely the more code you put into AI or the more configuration you do with AI, the more situations you can handle. I mean, again, I'm no expert.
You can make them look realistic. You can make them feel realistic and stuff. But like, I'm saying the way that you code AI for games is completely different than if you was to code it for real world. So it's two different fields.
Yeah, of course. Sorry.
Well, no, see, that's the thing. I was going to say, when we talk about coding in general, both of you are very familiar with C# because you both use Unity, and that's the language that Unity is written in. And that happens to be an object-oriented language. Hopefully, you guys out there understand what that is, and we don't have to describe it. But if you need us to, let us know. And that type of coding methodology is modular. You have your base objects and things, and you can manipulate them. Surely you can kind of do the same thing with AI. Or do you have to think about it? Or do you think? I mean, how do you actually go about approaching the AI?
Well, with Light, we had like base classes which handled like simple things like navigation, movement, just sensors and stuff like that. But it was always like base code, and then if I needed a specific module, like it needed to detect a certain thing, I just extended the base code and write a separate class which just inherits a load of functions and just tweaks the variables that I need it to tweak or listens to things that it needs to listen for. So it's not so much the code gets really complicated, it's just you can end up writing a lot of code and doing really specific use cases. You try and keep code as general as possible.
You see, I'm in the process of analyzing how I'm going to start doing the AI, because everything so far has been code based, but the AI stuff, I noticed that, for example, there's a Unity asset called Rain that's free. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, I've played around with that. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and
Rain as an RANE or RAIN?
RAIN. It's by
raining outside.
So
Can
by
you get the
Rival
link for us,
Theory.
Danny?
Yeah.
Okay, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I've been looking at this Rain AI. You can extend it with its own classes and functions and methods, etc. But most of the stuff is done within a behavior editor. So you tell it, if this happens, do this. If this happens, do these two things in conjunction. Then go to this. Then do that. Put a timer in here. There's all kinds of tools in there. I haven't dug into it in great. I literally started playing with it yesterday.
I think Rain's a behavior tree, to be honest, and I think that's what it is. I can't remember, but behavior trees are becoming quite popular. Yeah, it is a behavior tree. It's really nice because you can kind of easily extend it, and it's mostly designer focused. There's not so much code you have to write. It's easy for someone to just kind of look at it and not have to write the code to do it. It's like it has detection things and like if this, do this, and then complete this sequence and.
But it's also got some really handy stuff in there, like the waypoint stuff and the visual sensor and the audio sensor, because I imagine that they're kind of principles. You've talked about them you've mentioned them a few times within AI. I mean, again, I don't know much about AI in general, but I imagine a sensor is something that you would there'd be multiple types of sensor that you can program.
Yeah,
that you would program.
The AI in terms of the way it works in Light is every time there's a stimuli, it gets put into the world environment, then the sensors of all the AI try and decide if they can hear or respond to this stimuli. If it's close enough to the object, it will be in the sense range, and then if they can process it, then it's flagged as something that they've accepted as a stimuli. But it's all code. It's not something that a designer can easily pick up and sort of tweak numbers for. That's why Light is like. I would say this is like the very basic AI that sort of works because a programmer's written it and it's working because I'm the only one tweaking the values. But if I was to have a designer come in, I need to make some sort of nice UI to make it more accessible to people to change numbers and actually design their own behaviors without having to have a programmer implement it.
Now, see that brings up actually a really interesting question from the outside of someone looking in, especially someone like the Chocolate One or someone who is looking to get into game development in general. You're talking about coders and developers. They're two different things, aren't they? The same thing? I know they're not, but I'm giving you a chance to explain.
Designers and developers, I think that's what he's. Yeah. There
That's
is
what
a
I meant to
distinct
say.
difference.
Promise.
Yeah, designers, they don't necessarily have to have code experience, but they need to be able to tweak values, or just make levels and tweak the the variables that make up an AI's response time or navigation times and stuff like that. They need to be able to tweak the numbers without someone having to write code in order to do that.
And understand the logic flow, because again, you need a logical mind to be a programmer generally, but to be a designer of a game, at least in my opinion, you need to have a logical mind. You need to be able to know that ifs and there's loops and there's conditionals and things like that. You need to at least understand that before you can actually put a good design together for anything.
Yeah.
Adverto throws out there, by the way, designer's job is to make the game fun. Programmer's job is to make the game run.
I like that.
And he actually asked another question. He says, is it the AI you just code for different scenarios? What I mean is that it doesn't really learn. You basically...
That's the difference. I think that's the main difference that Danny was talking about, possibly. Because classical AI, you would learn.
I mean, I have seen games with learning AI, where they learn your patterns and behaviors, but they're normally used in RTS games, and it's sort of a prediction-based planning, I think. I can't really remember the name of the type of AI, but it's mostly prediction-based, so you've had your forces in this area most of the time, so therefore I'm going to then path all my units to get in the way or destroy them, or figure out which your unit compositions are and stuff. But there are learning AIs. But they're not more traditional.
Well, the thing to keep in mind, I think, anytime you get involved in development, it makes a difference what you're developing is don't add things you don't need. If your game doesn't need your AI to learn, don't try to add that as something, because honestly, you're just making your life a living hell. Keep it simple, stupid, I believe, is the one. Keep it simple, stupid is the way to go.
Yes, yeah.
But yes.
I think Fear actually had a planning algorithm called Goke, which is it takes the world environment and it plans what the best plan of action it is to achieve its goal is. So it says, my goal is to kill the player, and their actions are reload guns, shoot gun, and move towards getting range, hide and cover. Then it works out the best combination of the actions in order to achieve its goal, and then it just executes it in a sequence, as opposed to someone writing a state machine which does everything per state with every transition. It's easier. It's more natural as well. I mean, you can write actions and then they can combine themselves into different goals.
Okay.
You see, I can't make my mind up if I want to stick with Rain and learn it, because there's a big learning curve with it, or I want to just code it. I kind of know where to start.
Stick with something that's already out there. If I made the silly mistake of trying to make my own version of Goat while making Light, and I spent about 2 months making just AI, which I could have spent making the game.
Yeah.
So don't make something if there's already a version out there. Sure, it might cost a bit of money, but to be honest, you'll be saving that amount of money and the time that you'd be wasted on.
Well, that's one of the beautiful things about Rain, is it's free and it's going to be free. I was speaking to the developers on Twitter yesterday, and they say that their principle is that great design tools like that should be free to developers, which I thought was a really nice philosophy coming from someone who's written something that's very, very popular. A lot of people use it. And it's very powerful as well. I'm sure it's got its problems. I'm sure I'll run into them down the line, like most of these assets that we come across. But for what it is
this
I'm amazed.
Rain Indie? There's a pro version.
No, the pro version is free. They had Rain Indie, and then they had Rain Pro, I think. But the Rain Indie was the one that was on the asset store, so that was the most popular, I think. And then it came to the point where they've just merged them all into one, and it's just free. It isn't on the asset store yet, the new version. But you can download it straight from the website. It's very good from what I can tell. But it's just that because I'm a coder, because I come from a development background, and because I enjoy writing code and I enjoy the logic flow part of it for some strange reason. I don't know if I should learn this or not, but you're probably right. I should probably learn it and then just extend it, because I'm going to have to extend it. It's not, I know that for a fact that not everything is in there that I need.
If Rain has a solid base to sort of build upon, I would suggest using something like that. I wouldn't see the point of building your own, because you'll then have all the problems of not only the little niches that you're trying to make, you'll also be trying to add functionality to the basics of like what Rain could already do. You'd be like reinventing the wheel again and then adding your features on top of it. It's not worth the time and effort when there's already something out there that's completely functional and supported, and probably has a support network.
And it's got a great community as well, from what I can tell. But there's quite a lot of AI things on the asset store. Most of them aren't free, but this one in particular, someone suggested a while ago, and I've always been planning to use it, and now I've got into it. I've already set up a guy that walks around and can detect people, and I've done that in a couple of hours. I was just like, wow, it's amazing.
I think I spotted Rain about, I don't know, a year ago or so when they were doing the whole indie thing, the Indian Pro version. But like, I haven't seen it since because I've not really been looking for most AI projects. But I'm thinking of using this for the next game. This looks really interesting.
Wait a second. Okay, so you have Light coming out soon through Team 17, and you're already thinking about your next game?
Of course. I'd be bored otherwise. I'd be sat there like, what do I do next? Like,
yes.
I've already got 6 games in my head, but whether or not I'll ever get around to doing them is another thing,
Exactly. You always have more ideas. It's never just one idea. There's always more you want to work on.
I think the problem with being a developer, especially indie, because you're constantly involved in everything, it gives you more ideas, I think, because I'm always speaking to modelers and designers and other indies, and everyone's giving me ideas all the time about, I could put that in my game. No, I'm not putting it in my game right now. I'll put it in another game at some other point,
I'm going to pop in real quick, and I'm going to answer Ryan Earnshaw, developer's question, I believe it was. Yes, this is what we're talking about currently. It is a add-in or a module, I should say, for Unity for AI. Does it do more, or is it just straight up AI?
It's
the AI engine. Yeah, it's straight up AI.
But when you say more, I think AI is enough. I'll be honest. There's
oh no,
there's
it should make bread too. It should totally make my lunch.
There should be a button that says "Make Game." Just press it.
Yeah.
Just make the game.
Well, there's a few of those out there as well. If you look on the asset store.
Really?
Are you serious?
Playmaker. Yeah. Playmaker and the use script.
No, Playmaker's not press a button. Make designers' life easy.
We've just stumbled upon one of those tropes, I guess. If you're an indie developer and you use, what was a game maker, it's a little weird. Well, can't you extend something like that though? If you're new,
of course you can.
If you're new to development, don't you kind of want to just have something go, well, here's what it looks like, and then you can take it apart in bits and pieces and go, ooh, it's all interesting. Or do you think someone should actually struggle through the whole development process just to figure it out?
Depends on what you want to achieve. I think if you want to go down I want to build a game and I want to build a game like Zelda, get a RPG maker kit or get a I started years and years and years ago, before I even touched game dev, on old construction kits, like, I can't even remember, Adventure construction kit on the Commodore 64, writing my own, screens, and each screen was a different place that you'd go to, like these old text adventures. And you start like that. If you just want to put something basic together, you can use a kit. But
don't reinvent the wheel. I think it's just don't do that. Don't remake something that already exists. You might as well just keep something. If there's a bit of kit out there that already does it, use it, learn it, make it better. Don't reinvent the wheel over and over again, because there's just no point. You're never going to finish otherwise.
I was watching someone who I think I talked about this last week. Someone who, again, a few people have this idea that they must write their own engine, and while I understand that and I understand the challenges and the interest, if you want to design a game and get it out there in any decent amount of time, just use another engine, because UE4's been there forever. Unity's got a very good support network now. Game Maker's quite good from what I know. I don't know. I've never used it, so I don't know. CryEngine, there's loads of them. But
there's so many. There's no point in reinventing the wheel.
I throw this out here because Ryan Earnshaw now asks, when you guys are coding, do you look into using libraries or plugins like Rain, or do you think it's cheating and you'd prefer to struggle? Well, you've basically just heard from two developers, don't reinvent the wheel. But now that you've brought up Unity and the
Why would that be cheating?
let's see, that's the thing. It's a perception thing. But
Yeah.
when it
Technically,
comes to, well, go ahead.
if we want to completely remove all the cheating, we should go back to writing everything in binary, because everything other than that is a
come
library.
on. Don't you?
So, like,
Definitely
where
like-
does,
even-
where
No, no,
does-
no, no, no.
where does-
You want? I was about to say, take it further back from binary. Let's go with some. I mean, let's do the AFs and all the other things that go with it. That's old school development. I actually know somebody who programs chips on boards and speaks in those languages and does hard like, yeah.
I
I went to a meetup.
That, but,
I went to a meetup.
I couldn't make that.
The other week, and this guy there, he was talking to me. I telling him that I'm doing my game in Unity, and he just comes back with, "Why? It's so bloated." And
Well,
we had about half an hour conversation, and then I realised, one, he was making mobile games. Two, he was an old school C++ programmer anyway, and he just had no time for anything but his own code. Like, you could tell that he was so stuck in his own ways, and he wouldn't even have a conversation with me about anything but what he wanted to talk about. And that's the kind of developer that sits in the bedroom and never speaks to anyone.
That's fair enough, but I mean, I want to make games. I don't want to make engines. If I want to make engines, I'll be making my own engine. I want to make a game, so I'm going to use what already is out there and try and use the tools that are already there. I'd rather that. What's wrong with using shortcuts if it produces the same result as Talgoose just said?
I have to support that completely, and I also want to use this moment to say that the Unity groups exist out there as part of. There's other game engines, obviously, but I have to pick on this one because I know of somebody giving a talk at a Unity group very soon, and I have to give him a plug on this. Do you want to just quickly mention it? I'll drop the link. Go on.
Yeah, I'm talking at Lug tonight, which is going to be talking about procedural generation. Yay.
And that's about as far as he wants to go. Basically, it's the London Unity group. Now, there are groups for a lot of engines all around the world. If you're really interested in getting involved in game development, if you are really interested in getting involved in using specific engines, and you want to sit down and powwow and go, what is your suggestion? The indie community is huge with it. But I highly recommend checking out things. But that's about the London Unity group that our lovely Danny is going to be giving a talk at. Is it tonight?
Yeah, tonight. It's tonight. I've got the slides ready. I'm just waiting to do the talk now.
Excellent.
Basically, this is all I get to do before I go away on holiday. So it's going to be like, I'm going to do the show, I'm going to do the talks, and I'm going to release the game. Then I'm going to go on holiday.
Wait, you're releasing the game?
Light's
And
getting
I
released.
know Light's getting released, but I didn't realize you had to wait for it to get released to go on
I haven't
vacation.
mentioned it yet, Danny.
Actually, I think I'm away on holiday when the game comes out. That's going to really suck.
Oh, is that
You can't
going
sit
to...
there pressing F5 on the sales
Yeah,
stats
the
page.
thing is, I would be pressing F5 all day, so I'm not really missing anything. I'm just missing a day of me looking at my stats all day long.
I'm actually a member of the Manchester Unity group up here as well, speaking of Unity
Mug.
groups. And last time I was
Mug.
invited to Mug, McCrug, I think they call it, McCrug.
Nice.
Just goes with the beard.
Yeah, thanks. I actually got invited to do a talk last time, but unfortunately I turned up just a little bit too late, and there was only one talk on, and I felt cheeky going up and talking about what I was planning to talk about. So I probably will be next time we're up there. It's great. It's great though. It's everyone's very, very friendly at these meetups. The Unity user groups are great for getting obviously Unity specific information. Last time we were there, even though I've done a fair amount in them already.
I'm going to also take a quick moment and let you guys, because we have some new people joining us who have not yet had the pleasure of knowing the two of you, is to just speak a little bit about the game you're developing, and if you can, drop them a link just so that people can take a look at that. Because, you guys aren't game developers. You are working to develop a game. So there's nothing wrong with dropping a little link. Danny's like, I don't
Shameless
do that
self-promotion is where it's at.
Exactly. Okay, so artificial intelligence, when it comes to you guys are like rain is like a really good thing, and just kind of go forth and extend the artificial intelligence there.
Hmm. I would say use tools that are already out there. Don't reinvent it. Don't decide I'm going. I mean, if you want to learn how to do finite state machines and you want to just get the experience of doing it yourself, do it. Great. But like I'm talking, if you're doing production environment stuff and there's already a kit out there which does this for you, you don't want to be spending your time working on that when you could be working on the game. So use Rain. I've heard a lot about it. It's really handy.
Again, if there's anybody who's brand new and hasn't actually done any game dev yet and doesn't know anything about it, just bear in mind that any time saving that you can do, and this is going back to what Danny just said about reusing everything, just do it, because there's so much to do. Even if you're doing like even if you're doing like a 2D platformer with 2 levels, you've still got months and months and months of work ahead of you, and a lot of learning. So
Yeah.
just cut all your work out as much as you can, you know.
Actually, and we're
I
going
think
to.
Light would have been finished a few months beforehand if I had done that. If I take my own advice and use tools, I would have probably made Light in about 5 months as opposed to 9 months where I spent 3 of it working on AI, making my own engine for it. So, no, don't do that again.
Right. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick 30-second break. If you are up for supporting us, please make certain that your ad blockers are off. Enjoy whatever 30-second commercial gets thrown in our face, which gives these two a chance to drop links to their games into the chat. And when we come back, we're going to start tackling deeper into the AI world of, what is it that people are looking for in AIs, and where you guys ran into your biggest troubles so far. I mean, we know that you're just starting out with AI development, Chris. We know that Danny has his own specific AI kind of patterns because his game is sort of AI light. Get it? Light is your game and it's AI light.
Ding.
This is why I have to come on the show. It's Josie's puns.
I'm so sorry. I do apologize. But yes, and what's going to happen is we're going to be gone for just roughly about 30 seconds, guys. So it's not a big deal. We will be right back. So drop your links. Drop it like it's hot. And that was a quick, easy, painless 30 seconds to let you guys do your drop. Drop it like it's hot.
Oh, I'm confused. We're not live now then?
Oh, yes, we're live.
Are we? Hello again, everybody.
I'm not live. Let me just pick something out of my... Oh. Okay.
The things that go on.
Yes, the things that definitely go on. So in case you are just joining us for the very first time, welcome to the Datamine, which is a show for the independent developer, by independent developers. But even if you're a AAA developer or just starting out, we're now a game. This show has something for you. Wow.
The MMOBuff game.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because now it's time for me to give people a little bit of a hint of something. One of the very first shows that we had with Danny and myself, where we were introducing the show, we were talking about game jamming. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with what a game jam is, game jams are when you get a group of people together from various skill sets, from music making, art making, development, design, and you kind of throw them together, give them a fixed period of time, give them a rough topic, and shoo them away. Let them go build a prototype. So basically what ends up happening is by the end of the game jam session, there's a prototype. And
or someone's broken down.
Or someone's broken down, or someone's had their hair go completely white, or someone's ripped their hair out and they've gone bald. Yes, you run out of food and stuff. And we are going to be doing a game jam here with the Datamine. If you are interested in getting involved in a game jam, you need to get in touch with us at voice@MMOBuff.TV. We are going to be structuring our first game jam relatively sometime in the next 6 months. I'm stressing 6 months because we know that Danny is going on vacation and Chris is also a very busy man, and we want to make certain that we schedule the game jam, and we're going to have teams. We're going to have a Chris team, and we're going to have a Danny team, and we're going to have these two go head-to-head, mano a mano, fight in a game jam, where at the end of it, if you're in the jam off, we'll have to come up with another great pun for him, because honestly,
what we should do is write two fighters and have them interface with each other in network, and then my fighter has to fight your fighter.
So we have to write our own AI to beat each other's AI.
Yeah, but we have to also write some kind of API that we can both interact with on each other. I don't know how that would work.
You know what? The one thing I would say, if you're ever going to do a game jam, please never make a multiplayer game that's using network code. Just don't do it. Use local multiplayer, or just don't make a multiplayer game at all. I tried doing it for a game jam. I think I spent about a day writing netcode, and then I went to demo it the last day, and I blue screened my laptop somehow. But it was just don't do that. You'll never finish net games.
No. So what's going to happen is if you're interested in getting involved in the game jam, you get in touch with us, and based on how many people get involved, do me a favor, when you get in touch, don't just say, I want to be in the game jam. Tell us a little bit about what experience you have so that we can kind of balance the teams and things like that. This is something that we are going to be streaming for charity, and it will be streamed through Twitch. We'll be able to periodically check in on the two teams doing the different things that they're doing, but we're also going to have fun games and prizes and a whole bunch of stuff during the time that we do it as well. So if you're interested, get in touch. If you're familiar with a particular game engine, get in touch. There are so many out there. The game doesn't have to be written in Unity. There is an awful lot of stuff out there. So we want to have as many people who are interested let us know as possible so that we can get an idea of just what has to be done to make this occur.
How do we do this?
How do I game jam? Why for you game jam? But yes, so that's game jamming. Now we go back into the world of the AI.
I'm actually going to link drop something. AIGameDev.com. It's basically what I've been part of for a long time now, and it's fantastic for just like game AI information. It's like the latest sort of updates and stuff, what's happening in the industry. They have a lot of cool tutorials. Most of it is free. I think you have to get an account in order to like get access to some of it, but there is also premium content. But it's great to sort of look at different techniques that people are using. Like there's one the other day which I was reading about called the Monaco Carlo tree search, which is a searching algorithm. Given a set of nodes on a path, it will learn how to search it. But it gives you like an in-depth tutorial on how to implement it and what it is and how it works. So they have really nice links on there, so it's great.
There's also been a question thrown out by Mizpah, who is curious, is there no RAIN equivalent to handle netcode?
There is. There's Photon, which handles a lot of it, but it's still the problem of you're going to have to write a lot of netcode really quickly in a very small bit of time, and most of the time it will kind of fall flat on its face. So
yeah,
if I'm game jamming, I generally don't make net games if I can try.
You know, it kind
unless
of
I'm
makes
really
sense.
feeling masochistic and don't want to sleep.
Well, it kind of makes sense. I mean, a game jam is meant to be a very limited amount of time dedicated towards the project, and at the end do you have your prototype to share and show? And if you go to do something that code-wise, it does cut into all of the other stuff that you could do. I mean, remember, games like Surgeon Simulator came from game jams. Inflact, wow, language, I'm losing it today. But the studio from Vladimir, for those who are unfamiliar with it, they had a concept that went from game jam and is now in its next development prepping to become something. So there's an awful lot that can be done with a game jam, but in the end, one of the key things we try to tell everybody involved in development, just get something created.
Yeah, just make something.
Just make something.
Definitely. I mean, I've never done a game jam before. I can't imagine how I can. No, I want to. It's just one of those things that, do I spend this weekend doing a game jam, or do I spend this weekend doing, code for subnet?
Sleeping.
Well,
resting.
No,
I'm
looking forward to it because it gives you a lot of constraints, and I kind of like constraints. I like being told this is what you can and can't do, or this is what you need to achieve by here. Don't know. We'll see. We'll see how we go on. Get on with that.
Don't worry. You're not going to be tilted one way or the other depending upon which team we end up throwing you on.
I've done a lot of game jams. That's how I got into the industry, was sort of learning through game jamming. It's the best way I felt to learn, because you learn the entire process in a really compressed time period. So there's things like Ludendare, which is, I think it's every 3 months they do a game jam, and they give you a theme, and then you have 48 hours to make the game for this theme. And you get some really creative concepts that people throw out there, and it's really nice to sort of learn that way because you're forced to make something and you have to do it and you have to finish it. So it's fantastic. It's great.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
I am also going to throw out there, if you're interested in getting involved in the game jam, don't wait till the game jam to practice on various tools that are out there. Don't wait for the game jam to learn Unity. Don't wait for the game jam to learn Unreal. Just get in there and get your feet and toes wet. Basically, yeah, get dirty. It's the only way to really learn when it comes to development. Yes, so let's pull ourselves back to the topic of AI. Now, we've discussed Rain, which is a wonderful tool, and yet, as Chris has pointed out, he is expecting to run across his own little foibles and troubles with it. Now, when you think about the AI, you guys have both stated you started at the top. When the moment you had the idea for a game, you were already thinking, okay, AI is going to be needed for this, etc. Now, Danny, it sounded like you actually coded your own AI because it's light. Really no pun meant at this particular moment in time. It's just...
No, I coded my own AI because I studied, when I did game dev at university, I studied particularly on the AI side, and I really wanted to implement this system that I had already sort of designed for my final year project, which was a planning algorithm. It's completely over the top for what Light needed, but I just really wanted to make it, so I spent a long time trying to implement it and make it, and learning as I went. So that's why I built my own AI, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. You can save months of production time, and you can actually work on the actual game instead of making an AI. And to be honest, my AI is hacked together as pieces now. So that's
don't you find that all of your code is hacked together as pieces though, as you go along?
No. Like the further I get into production, the more I'm tidying my code. To be honest, like initially it was all hacky, and then it all became tidy and neat towards the end. It was just the AI that was sort of hacked. Still. Yeah.
I kind of come from a very structured programming background, so I do test-driven development. I do unit testing, integration testing, and all the other stuff that comes with enterprise development.
Yeah.
Can't really do that in game dev. I mean, you can to an extent. Some of the bits can be like an inventory, for example. I can unit test an inventory class, but that's about the limit. As soon as it starts getting models and vectors and things like that involved, the only way I could actually unit test that is by rewriting Unity, but by rewriting the implementations.
I would say there are sections. I mean, for instance, AI that you can test. You can use unit tests on that. Like my entire AI engine is unit testable because I need it to be able to just quickly make this function and then check to see it actually runs the way it should without having to bump into AI problems like that.
Are you using dependency injection as well with it?
No. It's mostly just like I expect this result from this function if I pass in these variables.
Right.
It's really simple unit testing, but it serves its purpose in the sense that it saves me time testing everything I write over and over again. I just write one unit test and I can just assume that it's going to work.
So test-driven development and unit testing is the best thing I ever discovered when it comes to coding, especially big complex systems. I wish I could do it. I wish I could do it to the same extent with Unity, but unfortunately Unity has almost all of its classes are sealed, so I can't actually inherit them. I can't mock them. I can't do anything with them. So I'm sat here with, I'm basically having to look at what's on the screen to test things, which is good and bad, So it's nice that you can jump into it and test your gameplay immediately. But
they hide things for a reason. We don't need access to everything.
No, of course not.
There are some things we do need access to that they don't allow us to have access to, but I don't think it's a massive problem. To answer the question in chat from Bunkerface.
Make sure you say the chat, because some people unfortunately won't be able to catch this live, and when we catch this on
Danny,
YouTube
will you be able to use your particular AI in other games? Yes, it's written so it's completely abstracted away from the game. I will probably rewrite it and strip it down so it doesn't have a lot of the bulk. Like, for instance, some of the stuff it doesn't even need to have in right now. It's just something that was kind of legacy code from when I originally wrote it. But yeah, no, I will be able to reuse it.
Question is, will you?
Probably. I probably will, but I also have just discovered Rain, so I might end up using that and shoehorn my code into Rain and try and make a planning algorithm inside of Rain. That might be more fun. Less stress on my part.
Well, here's a question for both of you. Now, one of the shows we're going to be getting into very soon is actually about quality assurance. How do you quality test your code? How do you actually take your code and put it through testing? Mispa wants to know, is the BDD approach viable when it comes to game dev, albeit you would need some form of headless interface to play through the game scenarios, situations, etc. But is that something that you think is viable? Now,
I'm presuming he's referring to behavior-driven development. Yeah, okay.
I would say
The
so
behavior-
because that's something that we use for a lot of the stuff that we do. You know, most of the stuff you see at MMOBuff is in some way, shape, or form BDD tested.
I mean, TDD and BDD kind of, they don't conflict each other, but they, I mean, I'm used to TDD. I've done BDD as well, but I think it's more viable, BDD, because you can actually, well, you design a behavior first of an AI, or you design a behavior of a level or a particular function in your game, and then you roll with that. You don't have to write the code first like you do with TDD, essentially with BDD. Depends. Again, everywhere has a different idea of what BDD is and what TDD, DDD, all these Ds are.
Bring out the cucumber. So many Ds. No, bring out gherkin. If you want to get
what?
Oh gosh, gherkin.
Lost me.
Gherkin is a language that is used to write BDD tests.
Ah, right. Okay.
See, even I bring something to the show beyond just the simple I'm a player and a host. But yes, yay! Right, so we have
I think it's easy to get locked into doing too much testing when you're making your own games. Though, if you're a small team, you don't want to be spending all your time writing unit tests and test cases, and you want to be spending it making the game. So don't go too deep into testing.
Prototyping is more important.
Yeah,
definitely. Getting it working and making it look right, like in a basic form, is more important than making sure the code is perfect at the early stages. No, and as I said earlier, I feel like a lot of my code is hacky, but I've tried to organize it as we've gone along, and there's some parts that are definitely, in a nice little package, but not everything's going to be like that. And sometimes you'll say, well, rewrite that. I put how many to-dos? Honestly, I can do a quick count of the to-dos that are in my code base, and I bet there's at least a couple of hundred, at least, of things. Oh, I'll come back to that. I'll do that later,
Yeah. No, I write a lot of stubs in my code. It's like, I'll just finish this section of code and then I'll come back to this. Yeah, but just always, I think, just hack it, make it functional, and then fix it later.
To be fair,
spaghetti code.
If either of us as indies, if either of us ever get to a point where we've got enough time, resource, and money to put more effort into the code part, I'm sure we'd both come up with a better workflow. We'd have more developers to do things for us. You'd have to if there's more people involved. But because it's just me and Danny in our individual teams that are doing the code, there's not much point because we can easily remember what we've done.
Hack-driven development.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now watch me give these guys during a game jam that we're going to set up probably one of the worst tasks in the world. Build me a game about game development. No, I'm not going to make you guys do something like that.
They've already done that.
There's already a game dev simulator out there, which is actually a very interesting game and a heck of a lot of fun to play.
Did you hear what? Sorry, segue slightly. Did you hear what they did with that when they released Game Dev Tycoon? With the torrents. They released a torrent version of it, and the torrent version stopped. It basically made your game fail because of torrents. Because your game had been torrented and pirated, and they made the game fail because of it. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Genius. When I read that, I was like, "This is how did you even think that's so fourth wall?" I really like that. I thought, that's creativity, and it's right in front of you.
Brilliant.
It's brilliant marketing, if nothing else. But yes, okay. So we've reached the end of today's show. Next week on the Datamine, we have a very special guest who is coming in to talk about art and what it takes to take art from I have an idea to actually being a sprite in a game and being used. This goes everything from the awesome costume designs that you see characters wearing down to the floor textures and to the wall textures and even, rock, and how do you get all of that going and how do you use the art assets? And this is someone who has experience in it, and it is from an independent developer, and the game literally just slipped my mind. So I'm going to go quickly look it up and put the link in so people know who we're going to be having on our show. So give me 1 second. You guys take some time and say bye-bye to everybody. Or, well, you don't have to. Don't make it so quick. You make it quick, and I can't get to the information I need in time. Draw it out. Have a conversation with each other for me.
Drawn out goodbye.
Well, we were just briefly. We were just briefly talking about challenges with AI, and we didn't really go into it that much. So we can just go into that a little bit more if you want. I've got something that's a challenge. Anyway, I mean, as I said before, I've got issues with things like, well, I may have issues, I don't know yet, with things like what happens when they reach a door, what happens when one enemy gets alerted to the presence, what kind of things in my game are going to let that enemy communicate with other enemies. One of the main premises of my game is that all wide area communication, such as the internet, telephones, wireless, walkie-talkies, actually they're not wide area anyway. Well, they're not accessible. They're banned across the world. So I can't have my enemies going, right, this is where he is. Everyone come to him, you know. So I have to make sure that I can relay that in some way, whether it be an alarm that goes off in the local building or something like that. So I've got, again, all of that code's already there. But in terms of the challenge of what the AI, the guards themselves do, that's the bit that I'm interested in at the moment, you know.
So in terms of the door problem, what I would say is have two nodes, one which is sort of like the entrance and one is the exit, and make it so that the AI always has to pass through that node, and then it does a check to see if the door's open or not, and if it isn't open, play an animation to open it, and just hide the nodes if the door's locked.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
that's how I did it with Light. It's sort of a node-based, sort of a smart node, and then it touches it and then says, if I need to pass to this other point on another mesh that I can't access right now through this door, define it as accessible if the door is unlocked. And then if you approach the door and get to that node and the door is shut, just play an animation to open it.
There's a little bit more complexity to it than that for me, but yeah, I see where you're coming from in terms of the principle, yeah.
It's like
I've got to deal with...
I think it's things like smart objects, that I think that's what they're called, like the whole theory behind it.
I think I need to do a lot of reading on AI in general.
Well, you've got Rain, which is a good starting point, you know.
I would definitely stick with Rain.
Don't reinvent the wheel. Okay.
Yeah.
So just so that everybody is aware, who we have joining us, his name is Patrick, and he is from the company that is making Elysian Shadows, which is the name of a new game, and it's an indie thing, and they're going to be actually hitting Kickstarter very soon. So we're kind of getting him free that, because if anyone has ever done Kickstarter before, you don't have time when the Kickstarter campaign is leading up to, after, or even after or during. It's just a nightmare for time that you lose. So yes, on that note, that leaves me to thank both of you for being here. You guys, as always, fantastic, brilliant things to discuss. Danny,
Can I give a quick shout out?
Uh-oh. So
Okay. One of my friends is making basically a shoot 'em up, a sideways shoot 'em up, but it's a tactical shoot 'em up. So in the sense of you control a character or you control a ship and you control where all the bullets go and stuff, but it's all sort of, you pause time every time you stop moving and then you have to dodge bullets and stuff. Anyway, he's running a Kickstarter right now. He's raised about, I don't know, a quarter of his goal now. It's a fantastic looking game. It's been shown everywhere and I love it. So I'm just going to do a quick shout out and I'm also going to
go right ahead.
Drop that in the links there. It's called Mighty Tactical Shooter. It's a turn-based shoot 'em up.
Turn-based shoot 'em up.
Yeah, it's turn-based shoot 'em up. It was at Res. It was. I love it. I love the game.
Oh, so, this one.
Yeah. He's been playing a lot with the UI and he's put so much work into this. It's fantastic. Him and his partner are amazing.
Has anyone ever done a turn-based shmup before?
I don't know, but I really like how this concept is. And it has cake in it. So.
Oh, it has cake?
Yeah, the intro literally involves a cake, a spaceship exploding, and everyone dying. So it's got a pretty dark humor to it, but it's also got a really good story. So
Tell me that the levels aren't as they don't have as many enemies as you'd see in the R types and that kind of
Oh
thing.
no,
'cause-
it's more just like a nice sort of I don't know. It's really difficult, but it's also really you understand why you messed up. It's not so much like I didn't dodge at the right time. It's I didn't plan ahead enough.
yeah.
But it
looks certainly interesting.
It's a very pretty game. It's awesome.
Right. So what we're going to do to close out the show is I'm actually going to answer Glacian Girl's question, who's just asked in chat. This may be off topic. Can you dissect some of the MMOs? Forsaken World, Pacific World International, Jade Dynasty, Cowball Online? That's not what this show is about on MMO About. That's what Monday's show is about on MMO Buff. So I'm going to quickly let you guys know what's coming up on MMO Buff. And no, the cake is not a lie. It was just consumed. I was hungry. Don't judge me. But yes, so what we have coming up this week. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. UK time, we are going to have the Cosmotronic show. That show involves Gazimov, Kai Dream, myself, and Mispa as we discuss Wildstar, which is an MMO. Saturday, we have Top Draw, where Dr. Marshmallows and I dig into the TCG this week, Infinity Wars. Fun game. Then Monday, Mispa and I debate, dissect, and have guests on to talk about MMOs, and we rip things to shred while trying to inform and enlighten. It's all about being analytical. We're not evil. Not really. Although I wonder about Dr. Marshmallow sometimes.
We're not evil.
We're not evil. Someone is still waiting for Light Link. Give them the
Really?
link to Light, Danny.
Lightthegame.com.
Oh, come on. Just copy paste. It's not the end of the
So
world.
lazy. I know. I can't be bothered.
Lazy.
There we go.
Can't be bothered. That's not the attitude for an
There you
indie
go.
developer. What's wrong with you?
I'm so tired.
It's no excuse. We're all tired.
I'm tired. Just grit your teeth and get through it.
Yep. Tuesday, we have on MMOBuff the Campfire, where we discuss gaming communities, all kinds of gaming communities. And we have Real Blank Space from the Viking Nation. We have Screenager from Afterlife Gaming and myself. And then Wednesday nights, we have Blizzard, Par from Yogscast, or we have the Blizzard Forecast, which has Par from Yogscast, Mizpa, Real Blank Space, and Hearth Trollden. And they discuss all kinds of Blizzard things, from Hearthstone to Warlords of Draenor and things like that. And that's pretty much that. And then next week, Danny, are you on vacation next week?
I am. I'm going to Italy.
I was going to go to Italy this year, but we decided not to because it was a bit too expensive. Sorry.
Rob's family are out there, so
Ah.
I'm gonna go have a little holiday, lie down after this very hectic year I've had.
And I've just made his life even worse every Thursday, making him do other
Nah,
work.
this is relaxing.
This is
That's
relaxing. Well,
what I
remember,
thought about this.
the tagline for the Datamine is group therapy for the independent developer. So tell us how you feel.
It's more of a beard growing session. Like
It's not
Now-
going to work
now he-
here.
now we've
Sorry.
got Chris with his epic beard.
we had a very precarious discussion about dwarves last week, female dwarves with beards, and I think I might have said a few things that I shouldn't have said.
I don't know about that, but yes. So yes, next week you will not be here, which means we've got Chris here with me next week, and we also have Patrick from Illusion Shadows. And I'm going to have you guys quickly answer Chris Lala's game, and then after that we're going to say goodbye to everybody. Yeah, because you guys have to
Chris
get back to
Delala
work.
is with the company that's also making Overruled, which is Delala.
Oh, that's a brilliant game. I played it at
I
yeah.
love that.
something the other
Chris
week.
Delala are the guys behind it, and they always watch the show apparently. So yes, I do use the
Well,
best.
you know what
tools
I'm waiting
actively.
for? I'm waiting for the email from you guys telling me you're interested in coming on the show and talking, because
Yeah,
you're
no
indeed
excuse now. I'm on the show. Just Delala, come on board. Come on.
done. Come
Actually, they're
on.
coming down to my house next week, but tomorrow.
Well, see,
Monday.
there you go.
They're staying at my house for developed while I bugger off on it holiday. So
Actually, let me
I
ask
love that
you.
you get next week and tomorrow mixed up. That says that you're
Same
tired.
thing.
Well, see, Normally what we're doing with our shows at MMOBuff is we usually have them end after an hour, and then we do quite a bit of just chatting with the audience and stuff like that. But I know that you're just tired, and I know that you, Chris, today are just way busy. I had to yank you out of code today to get you into the show. Oh yeah,
I'm taking my
sorry,
wife to the hairdresser.
coming. Oh, now see, that's even more important than anything that we do. But we'll be back next week with Chris and with Patrick to talk about art and how you bring art into the game. And Chris is in an interesting situation because he actually has a team that works with him doing arts and modeling and stuff like that. So he can also add a whole bunch to this. Danny, I expect questions from you, even though you're on
I am
vacation.
so envious. I have no team.
It's taken me a year. It's taken me a year to get to where I am, and I've just about got a full team now.
I need an artist, and I need them in house permanently, attached to a computer screen, hopefully.
Well, you never know. Chris, not Chris, but Patrick actually is, I think, one of the freelancers. He may be able to point you to some people, etc. But hey, welcome to networking here.
I actually know a guy who's looking at the moment, freelance artist who's looking. I don't know if that might
be handy. I don't know, but I'm literally going to get off holiday and I'm going to be looking for someone. So.
So if you're an artist and you want to work with that man with the epic beard right there, how do they get in touch with you?
The less epic beard than the guy here with the epic beard.
He trimmed his beard. He doesn't have the right to be awesome with the beard.
Anti-beard.
He's trimmed it.
I dreamt my... Oh, trimmed. I said I dreamt my beard.
I dreamt my beard was missing and then suddenly it was.
I trimmed it yesterday. I'm sorry.
When I shave my beard, I look like a 5-year-old. If you want to contact me, it's Danny at justapixel.co.uk. Link is in the chat.
Artists.
Just ping me an email if you're an artist. I don't know if there's going to be any work right now. I'm going to be looking out. I'm looking.
Well, the thing is, you don't know unless you actually get in touch with people.
Yeah,
you know?
So I need to know that these people exist. Otherwise, how am I supposed to find artists?
I've got a few tips for you if you want. Just give us a shout afterwards.
Sure.
Oh, I can tell you now if you've got time.
Tell you what. Do you want to do it here so people get the benefit of your wisdom?
Yeah. I was just going to say, what I've done is I've advertised on conceptart.org. There's a forum on there. I said depends if you're paying or I'm looking for people to get on board with the revenue. If it's paying, you'll have hundreds and thousands of applications from there. But you can pick and choose because most people generally put their portfolios on a thread. So you just have a look on there. Obviously, Twitter, you must know by now, Twitter's an awesome tool for this kind of thing.
Can you not tell how much I spam on Twitter?
yeah. I said I'm just as bad
that's
some days.
for certain.
I love Twitter. It's my favorite thing.
And then there's also the IndieDB forums. The IndieDB jobs board. I've had quite a lot of interest through that. I've not actually got anyone through it, but I've had a lot of interest.
I've never had any luck with that place. I always seem to get people that don't really want to work.
Yeah, you need to be very thorough. I've got people who are, when it comes to concept art and 2D art and things like that, I've got people who are the freelance, but they're not on the they don't feel like they're on the team as much as some of the other people on the team, if that makes sense. It's not a criticism of them. It's just how artists are, I think, because they tend to have to. I'm not giving them an excuse by any stretch of the imagination, but they tend to have to be in the right mood to come up with concept art, because you're not just coming up with how pretty things look, you're coming up with concepts. Our concept artist, the lead artist, he comes up with ideas for the game. He's come up with how a screen might work or how people might interact with futuristic terminals or lights and all kinds of things that are totally and utterly brand new to my mind. I've not even thought of them. So then I have to think about how to get them in the game, etc. So there's a lot of back and forth, but I don't know.
I think that's why I need an artist, because I need someone who can sort of give me ideas as much as I would give them ideas. Because with Light, I had to do basically every bit of the artwork. So all the design I didn't have someone to bounce ideas off. I had Rob obviously, but she wasn't the artist who I can ping an idea off of. Someone designs something that looks pretty, and then we implement it and it makes the game look better. If I have someone on board that can do that, that'll make life a lot easier.
This is where the very interesting concept is going to be, where we have Patrick on the show next week. Patrick is an excitable, he is so passionate about art. I may have to slow down the show a little bit because he goes and he has
Play it
so
at
much.
half speed.
He gets so excited about it, but he was telling me, and this is why I'm really excited to have him on the show, is to how to get the inspiration, how to have those moments of triggering, like boom. I mean, how do you? Because like you said, it does tend to be sort of a thing. I have quite a few friends who are like, I can't draw this week, or I can't write this week because I just don't have the inspiration to do so, or I'm lacking that thing and it feels weird.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, you can do this. And I went, right then. So you'll see on the show.
I think absolutely everything but art is like that. I find that, for me, my mind at least, anyway, my mind just doesn't do art. I give me Photoshop. I've got all the tools, but I don't know how to use any of them. I don't.
I can draw squares. I figured that out.
Well,
I
Glass
can't even
Girl
do
just
it.
asked that, does a pixel artist count? At Just a Pixel Development, does a pixel artist count?
I don't think the game I'll be working on next will be 2D or pixel art. I don't think. I don't know.
Pixel art is very
I'm
specific
still like
skill,
kind of
isn't it?
in flux with a design, what I'm making, so. But it's not going to be pixel art or 2D.
Zumba Pup ads, it's not my mind that doesn't do art, it's all my other body parts.
Yeah, you can mind and all my body parts. Seriously, I keep trying, and I've tried for nearly 16 years now to open Photoshop and do something inspirational. I know how to use it.
Photoshop. 16 years working in Photoshop. You're
Yeah,
doing something wrong.
Yeah. But I've created a few websites. I've created a few like images for flyers and things that are functional, that are just getting information across, not something that looks pretty or does something specific. I can't even come up with it.
I can do functional. I can't do beautiful.
Yeah, I can explain things to my concept artist, for example. At the moment, I explain things in a big long email, and he goes off and he does amazing work. All of the thumbnails he comes back with, I could say yes to them all, usually, but it's a bit more elaborate than that.
Hello to Chris's wife.
You just got a hello, by the way, Talon.
Oh, sorry. I'm saying Lou roll on that.
It's all right, there's
The
only 900
glamorous-
people watching this one. Not 400 now.
The glorious life of the independent game
Welcome
developer.
to independent game developer.
Just need to get a little bit of a Lou roll here. But on that note, it leaves me to say to you guys, thank you so much for joining. And for you guys who are watching, remember, if you have something you want us to dig into, we've got the contacts. You guys have the questions. Get in touch with us. Let us hunt down the people who can answer the questions that you have, along with ourselves and our own experiences. So hearts to us from MMOBuff, and to those of you who have subscribed to us, you do have access to two very awesome subscriber buttons. One is a heart and one is a thumbs up sign. And there you go. And on that note, I say to you guys, toodle pip. What do you guys
Bid
say?
you adieu.
Adieu.
Bid you adieu, good sir.
I shall say, let's squidoinkle.
Really?
Have you not heard that term before?
No.
No. Well then, it's from a film called Cannibal the Musical by. Have you heard this at all? No. Okay,
No,
right. It's
I feel
a
uncultured now.
niche cult thing. It's Troy. Oh my God, I've forgotten the names. South Park creators.
Yes.
Troy
Yes.
and Trey Parker. That's it. And the other one. It's one of their early films. It's worth watching.
I will have a look. I'm
very
actually
silly.
doing it right now.
Wow. Right. And on that note, hearts to both of you. I now have an insight into the game development world that I didn't have before. And I now need to go eat lunch. And I need to send you guys back to work. Thank you so much.
I'm going to go eat my lunch.
Gummy
Nice.
bears?
Gummy bears.
Are you telling me that a game developer's lunch is not some kind of smorgasbord? Nerds!
It's gummy bears
I
and,
love those.
and coloured pencils. I'm not going to eat those. I'm going to draw on coloured pencils
You draw on the pencils?
with them. See, I'm tired. I've said this. I'm so tired.
Bye, everybody!
Bye.